Well, halfway through Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think the most important day for you guys.
Yeah.
Just feeling good about again the process, the daily prep.
Yeah,
For the first basketball game.
I think it's been really good. It's been really competitive. This game is obviously a little unique in just the style that Arizona plays. I mean, they go so fast and they're so dedicated to running the football, and their commitment to remaining physical and really trying to wear you out from a conditioning standpoint. So to simulate that in practice, in a practice setting, is sometimes a unique challenge. And so we've really tried to stress when we've gone our goods on goods and really focus on the tempo and extended drives to try to fatigue our guys. And I think that they've responded really well to it.
Do you have anything different in terms of the quarterback for your scout team when they go against your number one
No, we're
defense
using
or-
both those guys. I mean, we're using, obviously, when we're going to scout team, we're using Troy Williams, and we also using Jeff Lindquist. Jeff's getting some reps there, too. And they both are different, but they both give a really good look. You know, they're both talented guys.
Yeah. Obviously, Denker's poses more of a running challenge than you've seen, and maybe more than you will see.
Yeah, he can really go. I mean, he can go, and he's tough. Is what jumps out at you too. You know, he's believes in their offense. He trusts his ability to run the ball, and it forces you, from a defensive standpoint, to defend both the runner and the quarterback, and then the throws on the perimeter that come off of all those plays, and they're talented out there too. So there's no secret they've put up a bunch of points, and no secret why I think they've averaged well over 300 yards a game rushing the football.
Sark, is it maybe somewhat of a different challenge when you are facing a team still early in the season and they haven't necessarily played maybe against a Pac-12 caliber type opponent, and the film doesn't, how much can it show you, I guess?
Well, I think it'd be more of a challenge if we didn't know them, but we have a great deal of information on their offense and their defense and their special teams, and you know, Coach Rodriguez does a great job, and they're committed to their style of offense. So we have a really good idea of what we're going to see Saturday. Can we stop it is the challenge. And then defensively, we have a really good idea of what their defense is going to be. We know there's going to be some wrinkles that show up, but that's like every game, you know, and you have to adjust to those things on the fly within the ball game. But judging on how good they are or not based on their opponent, we know they're a really good football team. We saw them a year ago, so we know what they're all about.
And with that being said, considering how successful they have been in the run game so far, and they haven't really needed to unleash anything in their pass game, does that almost kind of the fear of the unknown there, or do you still feel like you know a lot about that part of what they do?
No, I mean, in football, you have to defend the run and you have to defend the pass. You can't be one-dimensional, and we're understanding of that. You know, it's going to be they pose unique challenges. Like I said, their tempo, their play-action game, defending the quarterback, and their athletes on the perimeter. So we're going to have to do it all, like we would every game. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You got to play sound defense in all areas.
You talk all through camp, the emergence of Kevin Smith and how nice of a surprise he's been so consistent here this first month too. How much fun is it to see a guy like that who's been through a lot as a senior? Really kind of
He's
having
awesome.
His moments now.
He's I was talking to a couple of the staff members yesterday just about you're happy for certain guys as they at certain times. You know, and, I couldn't be happier for Kevin, and just it's a senior year. He hadn't played a whole lot of football growing up in high school, and played the 1 year, and we kind of found him and got him up here, and had some really good success as a youngster. And then last year was a long year for him. You know, he just wasn't the same player that he was previously before the injury. And spring wasn't terrific for him either, you know, but to his credit, and talking to Keith about it, they had a great summer, and they really started to develop a rapport. I felt like he got in better shape. And he just comes out every day with an amazing attitude towards practice. And I don't know if there's a guy I like being around more on our team. You know, he's got a great personality. He's got a very high football IQ. He gets the game and why we do what we do. And then he has a willingness to contribute any way he can. He'd be on every special teams if we'd let him. So he's just done so much. And then ultimately on Saturdays, he's performing, and he's getting his opportunities, whether it's down the field or in the intermediate game. He's doing that, those bubbles and things to Jadon and John Ross aren't a fluke either. He's blocking like crazy on those too. So he's just doing all the right things. I'm very happy for him.
Switching gears a little bit, you mentioned your meeting with Woodward yesterday about scheduling stuff. You guys come to any sort of consensus, or I mean, obviously it looks a little trickier going forward.
We got to try to find some people that want to come play us. That's a little challenging right now. So we're working on it, and we're trying to find the same type of model that we've been in, an ABC type model, and we want that challenging BCS caliber opponent early in the season. I think it's good for us. And then we want other opportunities for our guys, and so we're working at it, and we're trying to find good places to go and play, as well as get quality opponents to come here and play us. But it's challenging, it's hard to align the schedule right, to make sure we're getting enough home games, so that our fans are getting to see us play more than just our conference games. So, but Scott's on it, and I'm sure we'll find good opponents in the future.
How much? I think you have 4 non-conference games scheduled next year.
Yes, because we're going to Hawaii, so we get an extra non-conference game when we travel to Hawaii. So we actually play 13 games next year.
How much do you have to consider now the playoff committee and not playing maybe a B or FCS because of that?
Well, we look at it, and so much of our schedule is already slotted in a sense prior to this playoff, and I'm kind of the mind of if we're in the discussion, if we're one of the top 4 teams in America, and we come out of our conference as a Pac-12 champion and with a potential undefeated season or a 1-loss season, I'd like to think that one game isn't going to define or sway the committee to choose us or not to choose us based on one game. I think it's a body of work, and I think when you play this challenging of a schedule in our conference, you play 9 conference games, and then to win it, you have to play a 10th against the champion from the South. I think that's got a pretty compelling story in and of itself.
Sark, with the offensive line and what happened on Saturday, I know you said you were going to try to really prepare them. How have they responded to what you've thrown at them this week?
Well, I think they've been good. We've really tried to create more movement for them to have to block. We struggled with one type movement today that we had to go back and revisit and walk through in the middle of practice, but I think they understand where they're vulnerable, and like all good coaches on other teams, you try to find areas where a team's vulnerable and try to attack it, and where we're a bit vulnerable up front right now is with some of the movement, pre-snap and post-snap movement, and we have to get better at it, and I think that we have for 2 days, and tomorrow will be the real final day of honing that in to handle all that stuff.
Now, is that also something where you try to help them out with the pregame meeting with the refs and try to explain maybe your side of what you're seeing?
I'll talk to them about it. Arizona hasn't done it in the past, but we're prepared for it if they do.
What technically is it?
It's just moving right before the snap of the ball, and to our guys' credit, they're fired. They want to come off the football, and that's great because we're playing aggressively and excited, and I think that we just got to understand that we got to stay with our cadence. Worry about us, not to worry about them so much.
True, Arizona's defense habitually is slide and go. They don't really
No, they do both. They're a unique defense. They're a 3-3-5 stack defense that can give you a variety of looks because there's so many people off the ball. And so we'll get our fair share of pressures and movements, whether they're linebacker pressures or secondary pressures, and then we'll get some static looks too. Where they'll line up and play us. And so we just have to try to identify the difference between the two during the game, so that we can respond to it when we get them.
Thanks, Coach.